Hello everyone, and welcome to a quick tutorial on how to use switches in Doom 2. So what we'll do is draw a 640 sector here. 640 by 640. And now that we got that, we'll go ahead and draw a platform in the middle. And we'll make this 64 by 64. Okay. Now what we're going to do is raise this platform to the ceiling. And basically we're going to make a switch that lowers this platforms, and we're going to go ahead and put a weapon on it just for effect so you can see how it'll lower and we can pick up whatever's on it. So we'll go into sectors mode. Let's select this sector here, and we'll raise the floor up to 128. And I'll go ahead and change the floor. I get in the habit of changing textures whenever I'm putting the effects on them, or whenever I'm changing the general properties of them. So I'll go ahead and make that a flat 20. Push OK. And I'll actually give it a identification tag too, and push OK. So now we have that set, and we'll go ahead and set up the textures on that as well. So we'll jump into lines mode and select these 4 textures, and I already know the texture, so I'm just going to type it in. It's going to be support, and you can see it already finishes it for me anyway. Support 2, and we'll push OK. So we have our lift set up here, our just the height and all that set up. So now we're going to set up the functionality to a switch. So the first thing we need to do is create a switch, and we're going to create a switch up here on the top wall. So let me zoom in here a little bit, and I'm going to go ahead and draw a 640 by 32 sector here. And what I'm actually going to do is come here to sector mode, and I'm going to delete it so it gives me that it voids it out. And now I'm going to come in here and go into lines mode, and for these 2 walls here I'm going to right click, go to side defs, and just make them a Startan texture just to make sure they have a texture on them. Clear. Now for the third one, I'm going to select it, go to side defs, go to middle. Now I want a switch, so we'll come down here to switches, and we'll look through here and we'll find a switch, and we know that this right here, SW1 STR-TN, is going to match the texture set we already have on there, which is the Startan 2 texture. So we'll come in here and add that and push OK. Okay, so we have a switch texture, but we don't have the action set up yet. So we'll come in here to properties. We're going to come into action. We're going to go to lift. Alright, now these S1 and SR are the ones for the switches. SR, of course, is a switch repeatable. S1 is going to make it only trigger once when you click it. So we'll go to switch repeatable, lift, lower, weight, raise, fast. So you kind of got to make a run for that weapon. And we'll push OK. And now, last thing we need to do is make the tag identification, make it the same as it was for the sector with the lift. So we'll raise that to 1 and push OK. And now we should be ready for some testing, so let me add a player start here. Face it down towards the lift. Alright, and let me go ahead and test this. Okay, so here we are in game. And if we come up to the actual texture and try and push use on it, you'll notice it doesn't really do anything because we didn't set up an action for it. But if we come over here and use this switch, you see the switch triggers. We turn around, you see the lift has dropped. And now all we need to do is put a weapon on there, and I'll also show you how we can get it to raise up into the ceiling, so a player can actually kind of wait up there if they want to ambush another player. Currently, if we get on the lift, and it will raise, and you'll see it'll hit the ceiling and it'll bounce back down because there's a player on it, but there's nowhere for him to go. So with that, we'll jump back into the editor here. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is put a weapon on there. So let me go in things mode here and add a thing on there, and we'll add a weapon. Let's see, plasma gun sounds good. I'll push OK. And to make it where a player can actually go up in here, we're going to go ahead and go into sector mode. Select this sector, raise it to 256. So that is set up. Now, we want to make it where a player can go up here and kind of hide out for another player to ambush him. Now, but say this player wants to get out. Once this lift goes up, this player is going to be stuck because he has no switch that'll let him get out of the lift. So what we're going to do is set up the lift here as well as setting up the textures for it. So what we'll do is go ahead and go into lines mode, select these 4 lines, and we'll right click that and go into side defs, and we're going to change this to the switch texture, because this is going to be how our player that's hiding gets out of this lift. We'll go into properties, and we're going to go ahead and change this to lift and switch repeatable fast, and we'll push OK. And we'll raise this tag up to 1. So now he has a way out of there. So just to show this, we'll go ahead and test it out. Okay, so here we are in game. And you notice if I come and press use on the lift, it still doesn't work. But if I come over here and use the switch, it'll lower. Let me get on this platform, and it'll raise. And you see now how I'm up here, and I have the 4 switches that I can hit. You could have just done 1 wall, but I found it a lot easier if you just do all of them. And just go ahead and use one. And you see the lift lowers. Now you might be wondering why the lift switch will work when I'm in the lift, but not when I'm on the outside of the lift. And I'll go ahead and show you that real quick once we get back into the editor. So with that, we'll go ahead and head back. Okay, so as a quick explanation, you see how they have the line pointing to the inside of the lift? Well, that's the front side of the texture. You can only activate switches from the front side of the textures. So say if I had this line selected and I push F and point it outwards, this will no longer be selected from this side. I'd have to make a part of the level come over and into this side to even open this lift. So I'll flip that back. So basically, and that's pretty much the same, you know, with any of the actions, especially even with the direct use, such as doors and other, you know, lifts that are directly used on the lift or the door itself. So with that, that'll pretty much wrap up this lesson. Thank you for watching.